All righty, welcome back to another episode of the Lookout Podcast, a special episode with Chief Costa. Thanks for joining me, man. And we were just talking, and I just started following you on Instagram, and really appreciate the stuff you put out. And one of the things that caught my attention was something that in my career we've talked about a little bit too, especially in the smoke jumping world, is going from boots to the ground to like chief, like your position, man, and how it's not an easy transition so much for being the person who's out there on the fire, more often, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's not. And I think I think there's a lot of chiefs out there, and I know in wildland we try not to use rank. It's your ICS position, but typically speaking, it's not uncommon to have chief officers and up higher level, branch ops type sections. And in my perspective, and we'll get into all that, but my perspective is the local government side. I did work for CAL FIRE, but for us on the local government side, just not forgetting where we came from and trying to really make our decisions on how we think on the fire ground or how we think on the days off, and how we lead with understanding of the human particide and understanding the effects that it has on all the troops down at the, at all levels, and not only the fire side, but also the support services and the staff that are there to take care of us while we're there. So yeah, it's an important.
Oh, it is, man. And then, because otherwise, as you've probably been around too, where folks don't want to go to that next level and they just want to stay like, captain on the engine, and we have that in the Forest Service now, we call them captains, or like in the smoke jumper world, they don't want to go to that next position where they won't be able to jump fires as much, whether it be like assistant law foreman or law foreman or ops, foreman. And, but the problem is then you're not getting those people who still have that connection to the boots on the ground and were recently out in the field in that next level, maybe, and like you said, then remembering to take care of your folks. Like, I think that's where that separation happens. And then, you get a little bit more of that divide between the top and the bottom,
For sure. In the organization I'm currently in, when I came here, it was common to talk about the other side of the wall, that they actually, the other side of the wall was the administrative side. And I've really done it. We did something kind of crazy, like the door that separates the wall, if you will. We put a window in it, and you wouldn't believe like the reaction for some people was they put the window in so that they could see what we're doing, during the day. And in reality, we put the window in because we're tired of opening the door and smashing into somebody. And, we have people with wrist injuries and things because you go blowing through the door and somebody's trying to come in the other side. But yeah, that's just, that's the culture. And ultimately, we do it to ourselves. I'm talking to the chief officers out there, like I still today get phone calls and deal with people on the fire ground, that you're like, you just shake your head with the decision that's made, and you really have to ask yourself, like, why are you making this decision, and are you thinking about the effects that it has on everybody else? Sometimes we can't avoid it. There's a lot of decisions and a lot of things we can do in this job, whether it's in wildland fire or structural firefighting or just the day-to-day operations, that if we just take a perspective of the people and take a perspective of the effect of those decisions, I think we can make a lot better decisions, and we can start to get people to realize that the only way to keep this game high and tight and to keep the high standards that we want to have is to have leaders in leading positions and have people with the smoke jumper background. I mean, I could go on for days. For me, being an ops chief on a Fed team, like there's so many things I don't know about your world. There's so many things that I don't know about. I wasn't a smoke jumper. I didn't work for the Forest Service. I didn't work on a hot shot crew. But I'll tell you what, there's somebody standing next to me that did. And that's the important part, is utilizing your team, we got branches that were hotshot soups. We got ops chiefs that were soups. I pull from them every day. And that's the important part, is not to just try to put everything on yourself.
Yeah, man. Well said, dude. And 100%. And like having a little bit of that humility as a leader, like, yeah, man, and I forgot to do your intro, actually, over 26 years of fire service. So, I mean, that's a long time, dude. And like, it's easy to build a chip on your shoulder after you've seen that much fire and emergency, situations, EMS stuff too. And for you to be able to still like keep it in check and be like, well, I don't know everything. I know how things look on our side and have a good idea, especially being around 26 years, how things look on the Fed side. But like you said, you still, as an ops chief, you got experts to your left and right that you can refer to if it's unclear, and not letting your ego get in the way and being able to be like, I think they're talking about this, man. Is that right? And then bounce it off somebody, and that's that's how a team is built, not just by single people, trying to be the hero or whatever it might be, or just know everything either, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I think this last year has been this last year. I guess it started last summer. Like Team 5 has had some pretty interesting fires. We had the Eden fire, we had the Bridge fire, both in LA County. We had the recent Gifford fire, and that had its interesting points. But ultimately, I feel like our team of all the California teams has had some of the most complex fires over the last year, and complexity not just in firefighting, but also in multi-jurisdictional, some multi-agency, unified command, state DPA, Fed DPA, dealing with local government, fires burning into cities. It's been challenging, and I'll share that we make it harder than it really is. We, as the people on the ground, the egos, the I'm better than you, the what pants do you wear, it's super frustrating to watch. I think it's getting a lot better. I think we're on the right track, but it's still there. And I just wish, like, I could talk about this for days, but I'm so frustrated with it sometimes, and I just get so sick of it. And like, what the hell are we here for? We're here for the forest. We're here for the community. We're here to lessen the damage and try to protect the values. And I don't give a shit what your engine says on it. I don't care what pair of pants you have on. I really don't. And what I'm going to do is utilize the strengths of every individual. If it's a CAL FIRE individual, there's plenty of strengths there. If it's a hotshot crew, I got Danny or someone standing there. I'm gonna pull from him and say, hey, what do you think? Is this ridge gonna work, or go scout something for me? So it's where my successes come from a local government perspective, because it's a challenge. I don't wear green pants, or I don't wear CAL FIRE red. My big thing is being able to be in the middle and being able to pull from the strengths of those people, whether it be the equipment boss that's been, pushing dozers for 10, 15 years, whether it's the line EMT or the line medic that's, you could tell, has some experience on the ground. That's what I really like, my passion, and why I love wildland fire, and why I should have, in a lot of ways, wonder why I got out of it is, as a career is really like, that's the amazing part about it, is you can show up with some of the most complex shit that you could ever imagine, burning communities down, rapid rate of spread through forests, just crazy crap. And people show up that no matter where you are, no matter if I'm in New Mexico, Washington, wherever, Oregon, it doesn't matter. There's always someone there that's going to have the answer or give you good advice. And it's a pretty cool family to be a part of, to be honest.
Yeah, man. And dude, not to sound like I'm blowing smoke up you, but I think, dude, like, that needs to be part of like a class, man, like that, that you put on or something to like talk about the dynamic environment. Cause like you hit on all the points too, that a lot of us do talk about when you go on a big fire, especially out of your region or out of state. And especially region 5, like California, where you said you have all these different resources. I mean, CAL FIRE, con crews, Forest Service, state, and National Park Service, all these people could be coming together for a fire. And like you said, knowing the strengths and weaknesses, and actually having those conversations, like you said, with the equipment boss, you're like, I don't know if a dozer can go down that ridge,
Right.
like, and for me, I'd be more hesitant because I don't have the experience. But you talk to that operator and that dozer boss, and you're like, oh yeah, man, we'll go down there. Or the hotshot crew, if they're from like Tahoe, they're kind of known for just being some beasts. It's like you talk to those guys, be like, are you sure you guys can get up there and light that off this evening for us and kind of button it up? And yeah, I mean, probably the answer is yes, but you just never know until you talk to them.
You don't. And it's all, what I found, honestly, I've made my mistakes. You know, I'm sure some of the soups are listening to this. You know, I've had my moments where shoved my foot in my mouth, but ultimately, what I always try to do is start off with, hey, you know, if I have an idea or I have something in my head, or we as the team have something in our head that's a control objective, or putting a line on a ridge or whatever it is. It's how you approach it. You know, I think in the hotshot world, in the Forest Service side, they're a little more used to collaboration and discussion. And hey, what do you think? This is what I'm thinking. Let us go scout this. Let's go look at it. We'll come back to you with our opinions.
Yeah.
You know, on the state side, it's a little more, I think a little more. I don't want to, militaristic in a way. You know, a little bit more of of the ranking and the, hey, you know, this is what I want you to do. That they still have opportunities to give feedback and maybe say, hey, I don't think this is going to work. I don't want to be misspeak there. But that being said, how you approach, it's how you approach people. And I, you know, where my success is like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. What do you guys think? And
Totally.
listen to them. You know, I could tell us. I'll give you another example. I'm a branch on a fire. I'll just leave it at that. This is it's going back a couple years, and one of the divisions, I won't say what agency he works for. He says, you know, there's this. I got kind of a hot piece of line here that I got to make sure that we get this mopped up. We can't lose this piece. About 1,000 feet of hose lay, and it's got a hand line on it. And he's like, all I have is this alpha strike team from the Bay Area, which is, you know, California. It's south of me.
Yep.
And I go, yeah, so what's the issue? And he's like, well, they're not going to do the work. They're just, you know, city firefighters just sitting around, you know, they're not, I can't rely on them. And I said, have you had them on your division? Have you had them do some work that you feel this way about them? And he's like, no, I just been having them like stage out of the way because I don't really need them. I'm like, do me a favor. Go talk to I happen to know their strike team leader. I didn't tell him this. I said, go talk to the strike team leader and give him the assignment and tell him what you need from them. Tell them how important it is. And come back to me in 24-hour shifts. That might have gave it away. Come back to me and tomorrow morning and let me know how it goes. Next day, you know, we're doing whatever bullshit and having coffee. And I said, hey, how did that strike team do? He's like, dude, I won't believe it, man. You won't believe it, man. They busted their ass. They were out there all, you know, they're not a hotshot crew, but they did a great job. And I'm like, see, you know, like, that's so frustrating to me that we just cut people off the leg based off what pants you wear or what department you wear. And I just don't feel that way. I just think you give people opportunities. You let them show you what they can do. And you know, there could be a class. Honestly, dude, there should be a class, and people should go through like, hey, how can we work together? Because in this region, there will never be another. I mean, I said this in the team AAR a couple of weeks ago, or someone said it. I don't know who said it, but there will never be another fire in California where it's all Fed fire or it's all a Cal Fire incident. Like we are there. Every fire there is, unless it's some small, you know, 50-acre fire. Every large incident, every type 1 incident. We're relying on local government. We're relying on our private partners. We're relying on the federal government, you know, the Fed side. It just is what it is, man. And we got to get over it and got to get past it on both sides. And I think the Eaton fire was great, and I have my reasons for that. I think it went really well. I think the last one was a little clunky, and I think I know why. But ultimately, you're right, man. We got to put our egos aside and do what's best for those people that need us.
Yeah, man. That's well put, my friend. Like the priority, right? Like you said, the priority is the people that we're there to serve. You know, like we're all there for the public. And like you said, just coming together and more of a, I don't know, almost like more of like an old getting together like old friends. Like, hey man, like we're the team. Let's go get it done. You know, like, and we all have that share that same pride in the fire service. No matter, like you said, if you're state, city fire or wildland, like we all have that same center drive. And so it's like and passion, I guess is what I'm trying to say, to do the job. So it's like if we could just like you said, not care about the color of your trucks or your pants and just get together and accomplish the goal and yeah, I think the class would also like kind of remind folks like, hey man, we're all the same team. We work for different people, but we're all the same team.
Well, one of the wildest things I hear, you hear these things out in the world. The Forest Service lets fires burn, right? That's like a lovely thing that you hear. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, you kids these days, that's all they hear. So they think it's true. And I'm not going to sit on here and argue like there's plenty of examples of where maybe that is true and maybe that it shouldn't have or whatever. That's not the point of bringing this up. But
yeah,
I will tell you right now, from the bottom of my heart, like there are some badass firefighters that wear green pants, and they are some of the most aggressive people I've ever met. The difference a lot of times is they don't have the tools at the snap of their finger that some of the other agencies out there have.
yeah,
And so when, I spent quite some years on a CAL FIRE team, they're amazing too. And some really great firefighters and some really good leaders. But the difference that I find, and it can be super frustrating sometimes, is I can't snap a finger and have 5,000 people, 13 air tankers, 70 dozers. The amount of horsepower that CAL FIRE brings with them or can get most of the time, unless there's extreme drawdown, is incredible. Their ordering processes are twice as fast. Logistics can get there way quicker. So I'm just tired of people like you can't blame the people. And the men and women that stand beside me on the team I'm on, I'd go to battle with them on any day. And none of them, I've never heard one of them, and some of the most amazing people I've ever met in my life, be like, oh, we're going to let this burn, or that's not important. All the decisions are based off, a lot of them are based off the ISEP process. They're based off values at risk. They're based off, hey, what's the probability of success? If this is a low probability of success with not a lot of values at risk, is it worth killing people for? Like I actually have changed like I'm aggressive as hell, but trust me, man, it makes me think that secondly, when you got 20 people in a TRA and you can't get to them and you have to sit there for 3 hours in Wenatchee, Washington, wondering if you just killed 20 people, like,
yeah,
hey,
man.
what are we doing here? And is these trees worth it? So I wanted to say that, on this podcast, like I am completely a believer in both sides. And I think both sides bring pros and cons. I think the local government side brings another aspect to the party that is good. We have 2 LG ops chiefs on our team. I think it's good. It's a good balance to understand the local government side and the Fed side. We don't have CAL FIRE members, but I would love someday to see that, to have a CAL FIRE person as the ops chief on a Fed team. Like, I know people might cringe when they hear that, but I'm telling you, like, that's the way you fix this shit, is you work together and you realize how we're all the same, like you just said. And that's where I'm trying is we're all the same. We're raised differently.
Absolutely, man. We're all fighting the same fight, man. And I think like you mentioned earlier, and you mentioned kind of just now too, about like just you coming on this podcast, because like you said, there are a few of the hotshot soups I'm friends with that have either come on or are going to come on later on in this show, and it humanizes you, right? Like when people get to hear you talk and the decisions you make, and then get to hear your thought process. Like, yeah, I got a 20-person crew up this canyon, but for what, and then like they get cut off, like, and then luckily a lot of times they're pretty savvy, so they're in a safe spot. But it's still like, even if they're in a safe spot, it worries you if they get cut off or something, get a close call. It's like, so I think that's great that you came on here to talk, to express that as well, because I think sometimes, like you said, the wall, not only in your fire station, but also like in big fire camp, right? Like you got like the camp, and then you got all the folks going out to work every day, and the folks in charge like yourself, and so not communicating as much because you guys are just as busy. You're just in a different arena, busy. All the briefings and all the meetings you guys have, and getting things set up, especially like you coming off of night ops in the last fire,
Yeah.
Yeah, busy times, man. So you don't get the even the passing by like conversations like you would get, in like a fire hall or firehouse, or at a district level for me, like where you can meet like your boss in a passing and they can check in with you real quick. Like, man, when you're on team fire, it's all business, man, and you guys are doing your thing, and the boots on the ground are doing their thing, and they just don't have that cross communication, that cross pollination, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, the wildland environment's no different than the fire station in the sense of,
Yeah.
Okay, so say you have a unified command, you have clear vision and understanding from the ICs of what the expectations are. Typically, it's meet the control objectives, work collaboratively, communicate, get along, be friggin' adults, right? They don't say that on the stage, but that's really what they're saying. And
Yep.
And that's my expectation as day ops or night ops or planning ops or whatever. But the reality is that it's no different than the fire station. What happens out there on the dirt, we're not a part of a lot of times, and we're not out there standing there listening to this argument on the back of the the tailboard or at the front of the cab. But I wish I could. I wish every wildland firefighter could just hear me out for like 20 minutes and be like, hey, dude, I've worked for CAL FIRE. I've been on a Fed team for quite a few years. I've been on a CAL FIRE team. I've seen behind the curtain of every single, pretty much every single option you can have out there in Region 5.
Yeah.
Other states, Washington, sorry.
You got one now?
No,
yeah, no worries.
It's not me. Hold on one second.
Yeah. Well, I forgot to mention at the beginning of this podcast is Chief Costa is doing like 3 different jobs, so he may be in and out, which is totally fine. Appreciate the time.
I got a roll to fire. Sorry, man.
Oh, man, hey, we'll finish this up a little later.
Yeah, I wanted to just say, like, I think it's important to finish my point in our role. Like,
yeah,
we all are there for the same damn reason, and we all have something to bring to the table. And if we just utilize each other's strengths instead of pissing on each other's shoes, like, we will be a stronger fire service, and we will do a better job. We just got to put down leave our egos at the door and realize that we all have a little different perspective, but we all are there for the same reason. And
dude, that's a great way to sign off.
Yeah, I'll catch up with you later, man.
Yeah, real quick, can you throw out your Instagram handle? Because you put a lot of positivity out there, and I want people to follow because it's just like your message you're sending, dude.
Yeah, it's just Chief Costa is my Instagram, and I used to have a Facebook that had like 100,000 followers, and I got hacked, and I just got rid of Facebook. So, I appreciate it, and we'll jump on anytime.
Yeah, we'll do it again, man. Hey, be safe. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, see you.
See you, brother. I'm currently joined with Chief Chad Costa, my bad. Currently joined with Chief Chad Costa of the Petaluma Fire Department, over 26 years of fire service experience, operations chief on Team 5. Is that correct?
Correct. And
currently working like 3 different jobs at the fire station. So I appreciate you coming on, man, and taking the time.
Yeah, I'm happy to be on, and it's been good chatting with you. Glad I could make it back.
Yeah, me too, man. And that kind of ties into like my point, or a point I was going to get to earlier, and we got on a different subject, which is awesome. That's what this is for. But also the realness that shows, like, man, you're working right now, and you could go at any minute. But also like the response thing, because we're talking about the Forest Service, as like usually there's like there's kind of like a gaggle spot, right? On a big fire, you kind of talk it out, like get a chance to gather your troops and then send out, disperse. I think sometimes in the Cal Fire world, man, you don't really have that split second, man. It's like, with you guys being like all risk response. I mean, not you so much, but the Cal Fire guys, and well, and you too. So would you say that that might be a factor of why like there's a different kind of like like you said, that militaristic kind of like more like go, like here's the job, get after it versus like let's take a minute and assess, talk with our folks, and then go.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got a point as far as it's similar, like I articulated as how you were raised, right? Like if you were raised like I was raised by a blue collar family on a ranch where education wasn't important and hard work and earning your dollar and being respected, and that was what mattered.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I had that core kind of upbringing, but I do believe that the all risk and everything with us is turnout times and get there fast, and because lives depend on it with a lot of the calls we go on, mostly medical aids. In the wildland environment, there's a time and a place for that, but I do think it requires much more thought, much more discussion, much more time. And there's not always that's not always the right time. When the tub's fire and we're burning down Santa Rosa, it's not time to necessarily sit around the truck and scratch on a map. But that being said, I do think that there's two different families that are raised differently, that have slightly different cultural thought processes, and I try to teach a lot of our local government people is the Forest Service process, the process that we go through, and specifically that, and I love, nobody likes to use the ISAP word, but I've been through it, and like I'm a firm believer that it at minimum what it does is it makes us think about, okay, what's the values here? What is the risk that we should be taking for this piece of dirt we're trying to save? And how many times do we? It's the same discussion on the structural side. It's no different. How many times do we go to an incident or have a shift? The next morning, you're like, "Fuck, that was sketch. That was close." And you think about like, okay, if something would have happened to us or me or them, and I would have had to make that phone call to their mother, their wife, their grandma, whatever, is it worth it? Right? Like, and I'm not saying that we should be I'm not saying I'm super safety conscious. I'm not saying that I'm not an aggressive. I'm not saying that, like our lead ops on our team is very adamant. Like, we will go as direct as possible when we can, when it's safe to do so.
Yep.
We will build a box and shorten that box if we can. I'm not saying Cal Fire isn't that way. They are too, but they're much more aggressive. And whether it's how they were raised, whether it's the culture, I think some of it, let me take that back. It's not that they're much more aggressive. It's a lot of times they can be more aggressive because, like I said earlier, they have 15 tankers laying mud. They got 13 dozers, good dozers, like agency dozers that are blowing shit out. And, and that's
man,
different. It's just a different game.
100% for sure. Like you said, that support for folks who aren't as familiar, like, you got a big air tanker, such as the photo almost over your shoulder there, like a DC-10 laying down some mud, and then, dozer line just plowing through way faster than any hand crew can put in just a little scratch line. You got a lot more ground you can accomplish, a lot more you can accomplish in a short period of time versus like, 20-person crew just trying to hammer around something big that's trying to get after it, So,
well, yeah.
Like you said,
but sometimes
the right tools.
I deal with this all the time too, though, is like there's rules of engagement in the forest and in the wilderness and in these places. There's things that we can't do. You can't just go blow out 10 blades wide and see something from space. Like, you can't do it unless you get approval by the AAs. And I think there's a lot of education on both sides.
Yes.
It's I mean, there is plenty of people out there that don't understand those rules of engagement, and they're out there just pushing dirt and not realizing that, hey, this is a federal offense what you're doing here. Like, we can't do this. And so there's why I'm saying that is sometimes it's not the damn firefighters on the ground, it's the restrictions of the rules of their engagement. And
Yeah.
and we just got to understand that. We got to seek to understand it, be willing to listen, raise our emotional intelligence, want to be like some of the people that I respect the most are the people that can go to any DPA and fight fire, and no matter who they're with, they can work with them and achieve the mission. And that's
Yeah.
that's where I stand on. Like, I honestly don't care. Like, you could come from Texas, you could come from Florida. Like, we have to work with people on the Fed side a lot more, from people that have no idea where they're even at. They're like, I don't know, I flew in on an airplane and got a rental and showed up, and they're still good people. They still bring something to the table. Now, I might not put them in charge of a 50,000 acre burn, but they're going to be a part of it for something else.
Yeah, there's a use, right? There's a need for them somewhere, right? Like you said, maybe not punching in some line or whatever, more direct actually might need, more horsepower, like you were saying earlier. But yeah, there's always a fit, man. There's always a place. We could always use bodies. And then also something you posted the other day, about like just having a high standard, man. And I think that's huge. Like it was on a whiteboard. Do you remember what I'm talking about? What I'm referring to? And it was like, yeah.
Is it? I mean, there's been a couple, but just there's a couple of contexts of things. It's like might have been something of new people, like probationary employees, or
that's what it was.
Yeah. Okay. Because there's also this thing that we have done in the fire service, which I totally understand why, but raising and lowering bars and that discussion and essentially it's a supply and demand issue that's going on right now, and there's just a lot of demand and not a lot of supply, especially in the paramedic world and in the federal government world too.
Yeah,
I think it's headed in the right direction, but it's rough right now.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Supply and demand, right? Like it seemed like a couple years ago, the pay seemed to be a little bit better to a living wage, and now it's not as much. And like as a culture, we probably value different things. Like you said, like you referred to earlier about you growing up as a ranch kid and outdoors kid, and myself as well. I got a few compliments from old guys. My whole fire career, pretty much like, son, you got a strong back and a soft mind. That's why we like you. It's like, yeah, that's the way I was raised, just like you. But it's like I don't know if we're getting as much of that. Maybe people are finding different careers, or maybe the supply is just way up from what it had been in the past. I mean, the Forest Service was quite a bit smaller even when I first got in versus now, and I feel like fire departments too, right? Like because of traffic issues and response time, more fire stations are going up, more need for that, right?
Yeah.
So I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is hard for me to say, but when you really pull yourself away from the job, like to us, or to me, to us, to probably everybody listening, this is the greatest job ever. We love it. And I've given my life to this job, and unfortunately, I've paid some consequences to that, physically, emotionally, and all that good stuff. But it's a passion, right? It's a passion to serve. It's a passion. It's for me, like, I'm like, hey, throw at me the most complex incident you can. I love it. Like, I thrive off that. A lot of us do. It's our personalities, how we raise, whatever it was. But the reality is, though, when I eject myself out of that and I look at myself and I look at my career, I'm proud of it, but also, like, I kind of understand why people don't want to do it as much anymore. I mean, I've missed half my kids' lives. I've missed a lot of opportunity for self-care, a lot of opportunity for, for doing other things, traveling, and my family goes on trips and I don't go. I'm in God knows where land.
Yeah.
But
And
I wouldn't trade it for anything. That being said, we as leadership in this job have to understand, and this is, I'll tie this into our conversation earlier, is when I make a decision, damn it, you better think about your people, because they aren't lining 50 to 100 to 1,000 people out the door anymore to walk in. So we have to change our mindset, and we have to make sure that we're considering that, because you can't just say, get out of here, we'll find somebody else. It's not that easy anymore. And I think
yeah.
that's critical for the leaders out there in the fire service to understand that.
Yeah, it's a good point. And to tag on that, I think, man, and let me know if I'm wrong here, but to kind of grow them, right? Almost like homegrown, like you get what we can get, and the best of what we have, and then it's on us, right, to put the time in, right? Like just like your garden, you got to put the time in and feed it the right stuff and give it the right training and the safety parameters that me and you have learned over a career of fire that we got to instill in these guys. Because like you said, man, you want them to come home. One of the scariest things I ever heard was someone walking into a structure firefighter in Illinois, and they were talking about the floor being super spongy. And like as what I found out, and as you know, that's a sign that the floor is about to go. I was like, I couldn't imagine, like that's a verge of a nightmare to me. Like falling into a basement of a house. Like, whew, man. And like that, like those decisions, like you said, man. So like having the brain not to go barreling into everything, but still be aggressive, like it's a fine line, man. And I'm glad you brought that up on this podcast, because I think the average person who sees fire folks, man, they're like fit, strong folks, guys and girls, and they're like, man, yeah, they'll run through a wall to save me, and they will. So putting the brakes on that personality is super hard, man, because the guys and gals who put on the uniform to go fight fire, man, they are there for a reason, like you said. And you posted something not to keep hammer on your Instagram, but it was something that I think it was on your page where it said, all of us can, but not everybody will,
Yeah.
So with fire, I think is like a big funnel of that personality of like all these people that can and will, and then as a supervisor, as you, especially as an ops chief, even on big scale, not just running into a burning building, but running into a burning fire, canyon, whatever situation that might be kind of bad, whether it's in some, in the WUI, right, where there's a cul-de-sac full of houses, and that old Bob or whoever was going to stay there till the end, but that flame front's coming in hard. It's like, do you have the window to get someone in there to help get him out, and that's stuff people don't really think about as much as Cal Fire, I don't think, or fire in California,
Yeah. No, I mean, it's, I've written articles on some of that stuff, and just like fighting fire in the WUI. And what have I, one of the Kincaid fire, I was, the branch that had all southern Windsor all the way to Calistoga. We had some rough days in there. And ultimately, the only way to be successful in my mind is to utilize the people that are, utilize those people that are on your division, your branches, your subordinate leadership, whether they be strike team leaders, whether they be equipment bosses, whether they be divisions, whatever it is. You got to utilize your people, and you got to, that unity. You have the unity of command, but the decentralized command is the only way that these fires can somewhat go good. The more that we autocratically structure and try to be a chain of command, top-down leader on a dynamic, expanding wildland incident, the more it's going to clog up and fail. That being said, like it's important to have a decent understanding of the competence and capabilities of those people, and you can't just willy-nilly, go throw people out to the woods. But for the most part, what I found is for the most part, everybody out there has a drive, like you're saying, a passion, a will, a want. They will do. You just got to give them the tools and clear direction of what you're looking for. And if you don't know, and sometimes I don't know, man, and it's like, hey, I need you to, this is what I need you to do. I need you to get out there and give me some feedback and let me know what you think. And that's where those people, those hotshot soups, those seasoned division group supervisors, the whole division rank. For me, like the whole the division group supervisor is very young right now. It sometimes, you'll sprinkle in a very seasoned division that's been doing it a lot of times, but just the rapid progression of people through not only ranks but also the wildland section chiefs or whatever they are now.
Yep.
There's a lot of young divisions out there and really inexperienced people. And I saw it on this last fire I was on, and I do little things like after I get off the stage, I'll kind of poke around to a couple breakouts and I'll listen to the breakout, or I'll ask a strike team leader, hey, how's things going in your division? Just try to get a feel for how things are going in the dirt.
Yeah.
And I'll share this. I listened to this strike team leader, division trainee. It's a hot division. It's an important division. He's got a lot of stress on his shoulders. He's wanting to be successful. He's wanting to do good. He's wanting to look good for his superiors. I get it. I've been there, and I totally understand. But he starts the breakout with basically this sentence: nobody is going to sit around or sleep today.
Oof.
And I'm like, okay. That's, and I understand it. What he was trying to get across to the troops, the 50 or 60 people that was standing there, was we got a busy day and we got a lot of shit we need to get done.
Yeah.
But how do you receive that when you're a 17, 18, 20-year-old veteran, 20-year veteran? You're somebody that's been in the fire service for many years. Maybe you're a hotshot suit. Maybe you've seen 9,000 more fires than this kid standing there, shaved face, telling you you're not going to sleep tonight. Like, if you just pull that individual aside, you say, listen, how about we start that off a little differently? How about we start this off with some encouragement, hey, this is going to be a good shift for us. We got a lot of really important stuff to do, and you guys are going to make me look good. So here's what I got for you. Like, how about you start like that, instead of just making this assumption that these lazy blue pants are just going to sleep all day. Anyways, my point being is the wildland fire service is very interesting to me, and we're very blended in California. We wear all different kinds of patches and pants and different backgrounds and different cultural raising, like you're talking about how you were raised. But in the end, yes, let's just get back to that. Like, we are the best damn fire department in the United States. And I know that. And that's not saying Cal Fire is the best. That's not saying the Forest Service is the best. We are the best because, dude, I go to 1,000,000-acre fires, 200,000-acre fires, and I see some of the most incredible shit I've ever seen in my life. And it's because we do it. We force multiply our resources and our knowledge and our experiences to get something done, and we use the right people for the right jobs. And if we do that, it's pretty amazing what can happen in this. We burn all California down, so that doesn't really back up what I'm saying, but I believe it.
No, I believe it too, man. I think that's really well put. Everything you just said there, man, especially to tag on it with the force multiplier thing. I mean, there's a reason why FEMA and all these other big organizations have been watching over our shoulder to see how we do what we do. Because like you said, we get together, all of us, and like you said, whether it's Cal Fire, structure fire folks, federal fire folks, and we just make it happen. Like overnight, there's a huge camp and we got division, set out and division breakouts the next morning, and we're getting stuff done, man. And it's, people don't see that everywhere. And then also to tag on what you said too about, division trainee being like, buckle up because it's gonna be a rough one. It's like, but like the way you said it was perfect, man. It's more like, hey man, we got a tall order today, but I'm so glad I have you guys because I know you guys can get it done, and I'm gonna do whatever I can to help you guys get it there. And we're gonna get after it together. Like bringing that team together.
Right. And then we don't teach that shit. Like, this is the thing: is this kid went to a class with who knows who telling him what, probably didn't talk to him at all about, hey, how do you handle, like, in 6 months from now, you're going to be sitting as a division trainee on a super hot line, a very important line, you're going to have some of your most well-respected people above you asking you to accomplish some pretty tall order. And how are you going to talk to that 60 people staring at you with contract dozers, contract water tenders, local government strike team leaders from all over, Cal Fire, people and division chiefs that are strike team leaders that day. So they're standing there staring at you and you're like a captain, the whole rank thing isn't supposed to be in Wildland, but it is. Like, it is to some degree. Like, we wear our shirts and we have badges and all that good stuff. But, how are you going to have this breakout? And how are you going to handle Texas Canyon Soup, staring at you like, look, shut up, kid. You look like my son. Like, that's real, dude. I've been there. Like, I've been standing there as that division looking at these guys that I idolize and being like, how am I going to talk to them? And guess what? I have the answer. You talk to them like fucking human beings. You talk to them like everybody else. You respect them. You ask them for their advice. You listen to what they tell you, and you work collaboratively together, and you be humble about it. And guess what? It'll go just fine, But if you go in there and tell one of these guys they're not going to sleep tonight, they're gonna shove it right up your what?
Yeah, exactly. Tell you where you could shove it.
Yeah,
dude.
I've been there too. Like, I've made my mistakes.
Yeah, man, we're all humans, dude. And yeah, and you tagged on the first part of this podcast, man. You had a really good line about that, dude. Like, man, I mean, we all say stuff and do stuff, and that's how you learn. I mean, no one's perfect, man. And also, like, to tag on that too with the decentralized command, like you were talking, man. Like, especially as a young division, trainee, someone maybe like my age or younger, and get in front of these guys who have more experience. It's like, well, this is the plan, and here's my idea about it, and I mean, if during the division breakout, you're gonna have a little bit more of a, like, I guess, clearer message, but then also, you got like these heavy hitters, like you said, these divisions or these hotshot soups that have been around forever. So it's like you got these great expertise, like you'd mentioned before, when you're talking about even just being on a team, you got these experts on your left and right. So the same thing as division trainee, and not going out there to try to, like, almost like dick measure a little bit with them, like to prove yourself, and especially in a briefing, like that's not the time, like you're going to prove more to those guys if you're carrying like a QB up the line to give them some water, or something like that, instead of trying to tell them how tough their day is about to be.
I mean, that's where the most successful people are out there. Is not, I firmly believe this, the most successful wildland leaders out there, whether you're division or branch or ops or whatever, I'm just talking on the ops side, they aren't the ones that know everything. And there's people out there that do know a hell of a lot more than I do. It's the ones that utilize the strengths of the people that are around them, and know how to communicate with all different aspects of life to be able to get that, to change that will to a do, or that want to a will, or however you want to look at it. Like, how do you get these people to work with you to accomplish that mission, and also have a little balls too, to do two things. One is sometimes you got to stand up. Sometimes you got to say, hey, this is how it's going to be. And sometimes you got to tell your bosses, hey, this ain't going to work. And why? And this is the intel I'm getting. And when I do it, if I ever tell somebody it's not going to work, like, I damn well better have what I think is going to work. Right. And that's something that is a lost piece in a lot of young wildland firefighters today, is they all want to tell you how that ain't going to work, or how it isn't a good idea or a good plan. It's like, well, give me a better one. And that's a big part of it too, is those people that can come back to you with, hey, I don't think this ridge is going to work for these reasons. It's rocked out or whatever it is. But hey, there's another one behind it, or there's one closer or something else. That's another big part of what I'm trying to teach and get the younger generation to understand is, hey, we as the ops chief, you said it earlier, like, I was night ops on the Gifford fire. I never saw that fucking thing in the daytime, really, right? If I'm talking ridges or not, what do I know? Like, I can look at it from a drone. So So I need that intel, I need that feedback, and I need people to give me options and give me some ideas of what they think is going to work better. And the more we communicate and do that, I think the more successful we are.
Oh, 100%, man. And then working together, everyone works, has them more buy-in, if they feel like you like them, if you're getting that mutual respect.
Right.
And then I was actually going to bring up the Gifford Fire too, because the one you're just on for night ops, because like that's another thing, like in mid-August to end of August, you might have some crews that have been on since May kicking ass, especially some of the hot shots from the Southwest. And
Yeah.
like knowing what you have and the capabilities, man, that's another layer that people don't even really think about. Like with night ops, it's like you got you got a whole bunch of people, and you might want to be doing a burnout operation in the evening, which is typically the better time to do it. And it's
Right.
like, but what kind of capability are the crews that I have at my disposal? What do they have left in the tank, I guess, in August, right?
It's a great point, and there's a couple things that come to mind so from a night operations perspective, the biggest challenge is, in my opinion, is you're not a part of the plan. Okay, so
Oh,
I'm not in the tactics meeting, the planning meeting. I'm not sitting around the map during the day talking about what we're going to do. I'm not building the firing plan typically, and so you walk into usually a pretty lively, time of the 24-hour shift, if you will. If it's, there's on the Gifford Fire specifically, there's we're 24-hour resources and there were 12-hour resources. But day ops goes out. I come in we tag it in a 7 or whenever we tag after briefing, and you're out to the line and it's dark and there's a lot of shit going on, and
yeah,
yeah, I mean, I think there's two things that happen. The 24-hour shift has its pros and cons. I'm not going to get into what's better or what's not. I think they both have their pros and cons. But what I do notice is that those crews that are out there on the 24s, when you have a very busy day, like we did multiple days on that fire, when you get to that night operation and you do need to start putting some fire on the ground or start kicking ass, people were tired, man. I witnessed a lot of crews that were burnt, towards that swing shift, towards that, midnight 2 a.m, because they've been kicking ass all day, vice versa.
yeah,
So that's really why, for us, a lot of times when we're doing like that was a pretty major complex operation. A lot of times we're swinging the shot crews, so you can get them out there, noon or 1, and then get them, going through that burn period. And a lot of the times on that fire too, like all the low country grass and shit, 2 a.m, you weren't firing nothing. But
yeah. Oh,
above the inversion, it was fine. But typically, you're not firing above the inversion. But anyways, the point being, yeah, it's complex, and nights was very challenging in the sense of just not being a part of the plan, walking into the plan, getting a good understanding of where everybody is and who's doing what. It can be difficult at dark, but
dude, 100%, man. A different environment altogether, right? And that was cool too, man, to just getting to know you during that, and just having a little correspondence, and like you're like, oh man, it was really getting after it today, and we kind of got our ass handed to us to like, man, we
yes.
got it. And then this cool compilation video that you put out towards the or after you left, man, that was awesome, man. It was really cool to see the whole process, I guess, from a night ops, because I've only been boots on the ground on night ops, so I've never been in your shoes, so it's super cool to kind of be along for the ride.
It did kick our ass, and it was a challenging fire, man. It was yeah, for a lot of reasons, but just, yeah, you'd think you'd have it. I mean, this happened to me in Cougar Creek Fire in Washington too, like where it was like you would get 2 days of good work, you punch a bunch of line in, you think you got it, and then some weird diurnal wind or some sundowner or some shit would happen, and all of a sudden, like, this division of the fire's got 40-mile-an-hour, 30-mile-an-hour with 40-mile-an-hour gusts, and you're like, you're staring at a 2-mile run, and you're like, what the hell just happened? Everybody's trying to get out of the way, and it happened to us multiple times there, honestly. And the final, large burn that happened, super complex, and some challenges that happened with that were were, the hotshot crews came in, a lot of them came in late to the plan. They weren't a part of building the plan. And that culturally, I think that's challenging. They're typically, and rightfully so, they're a part of building the plan, and they're a part of, figuring out the sequencing and the locations and the timing, and we want them to. And in this scenario, you had a fire where a lot of the hotshot crews, as you stated, were out of region. They were on R&R, traveling from other fires. So it was kind of a unique, scenario that we don't normally see all the time. And there were some pros to it, and there was plenty of cons. But at the end of the day, it worked. At the end of the day, we kept fire out of AG and San Luis Obispo and the other communities. And I'll just share, like, there was definitely some challenges to that fire. Not gonna get dive deep into them right now, but being said, there was a badass feeling driving north on 101, going home after 18 days or 19 or whatever it was, without like burning a community down. Like, I'm so tired of watching houses burn and people's lives being destroyed. And I'm very proud of, as much as there was issues, and we should learn from those. I'm very proud of the work that the troops did to tie that in. That was not an easy burn. It was very complex, and the LP always is.
Like you said, just weather and topography, man, all those things come to fight you sometimes. And and that's why I want to bring that up, dude, because I thought it was a cool success story of like also like some struggle, man, and then overcoming. And then I could just kind of feel it in your like posts and your messages to me, man. Just like, yeah, dude, like that good feeling of like, man, we went out there, it fought with us pretty good, but we overcame, and man, we helped out a community, especially like, SLO, San Luis Obispo is like such a beautiful spot, man. And like most of California is, dude. So it's such a shame when any of it burns, so it's like to get a W off that one, man. I was like pumped for you and proud for you, it's like, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's rare in this damn state, I mean,
it is, man. This time, especially this time of year, man. Whew.
Yeah, we're coming into it too, like just going through a bunch of lightning right now. Team's a little ways, I think we're 5 out, so we'll probably be okay for a little while. But
then Santa Ana's.
Yeah, then you got to deal with October and November, right?
Yeah, man.
And sometimes later. I mean, shit, 5 was on the Eaton in January.
Yeah, man.
That was pretty crazy, to be honest with you.
Dude, right? January fighting fire, man. No one thinks about that, especially wildland fire.
The weirdest thing about that fire was, I mean, besides everybody talks about the Palisades because all the money's on that side, but the Eaton was worse in my opinion. But that being said, the craziest thing, I was doing planning ops, is I've never in my career had every single person I think in my phone available wanting to come. Like when you fight fire in January, there is some people available. Like you just spent all your money on your kids for Christmas or something. But totally was available. It was like the whole world could come but there was more than one fire, so we needed it. But it was pretty funny. Everybody blowing you
cool.
Up. Hey, I want to get out,
I'm available.
Yeah. I'm available. Everybody's available in January.
Just let you know. Yeah.
I personally had never been, on a wildland fire in January. I mean, I don't, like I said, work for CAL FIRE or the Forest Service, so I don't, I just go when it's something big. But
January.
That was weird.
Yeah, January's weird, man. I think I want to say maybe in Texas, but it was like an arson deal. I mean, it's still wildfire, but it was on someone's private ground. It was little, it wasn't like the Eden fire. It was some little thing, but it's still like a weird feeling, man. Because being in Texas, it got dark at like 3 p.m. or something early. So it got dark and I was like really quick. Like as soon as you got in the fire, it's just like it's a weird feeling, man.
It is different. Yeah, it's then I went back with the CAL FIRE team because I was on the CAL FIRE team the last few years. um, for the floods, in
Ooh,
February. So
man.
that was really ironic, was to be on that fire, through the whole event, and then 3 weeks later come back for the watershed issues and all the flooding that occurred. And so yeah, I did two roles on that incident, and then
Dude.
come very, very close with some of the high up chiefs of LA County. We spent a lot of time down there last year.
I bet, man. Well, and that's that, and like we kind of been talking about quite a bit, but the relationship building you get because of these events, like, but they're awful, and that's the reason why we're there, is because they're not great, but like, it builds the team better, right? Like you hang out, chiefs from the LA County, like that's super cool, man. And getting to build that relationship.
And it's the same damn thing as everything I've been talking about. Like I won't use names, but let's just say there's
Yeah.
some high level chiefs that are at these fires, obviously, and you're thinking like, here I am, the assistant chief of a smaller city, and I'm gonna walk up and talk to this person with all these skis on their thing, and they look, way prettier than I do, and their stuff's all perfect, and
Yeah.
I'm super intimidated by it, right? And it's like, they're just like us, man. They're
Yeah.
some of them I talk to regularly now, and they're amazing people. And it's that way in every aspect. If you just give people a chance and you talk to people like humans and you give them respect that they deserve, like, you can accomplish some pretty amazing things. And I'll stand on that. And I'll be talking about that, till I die, as like, we got to work. Yeah. Just keep coming back to it. Like, work together, utilize the strengths that we each have. Um, and I,
Yes.
and that's what I do. Like, one of my favorite branches on the team, uh, was a hot shot soup, Salmon River, like one of the badass hot shots in California. Like, I'm going to lean on that guy. And I'm technically the opposite. He's a branch. And it's like, what do you think, man? Because it's totally acceptable for the plan to come from the bottom up, and that's how it needs to, in most
Yeah.
situations.
100%, man. Man, Chief Costa, that's dude, well put, my friend. I think that's probably a good place to finish her, because you got to be getting close to dinner time. And
I agree. Yeah.
but yeah, for the next one, man, like, I'd like to do this again and have my stuff figured out a bit better on the next round, and or maybe even in person, maybe get down and see you. But some other things like I'd like to talk to you about, like on the next one, like the mental health aspect and transitioning, and those things as well. But I really was glad we got to talk about more of the operations side of fire, and coming from the structure fire world and then Cal Fire and all your experience to what you've seen. I mean, this is exactly what I was hoping for, man. So I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I loved it. We can pick a couple other topics, and I can wrap with you anytime. And I love this job. I know I'm gonna have to give up for the wildland world at some point. At some point I'll be a fire chief. I mean, that's my goal. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss it, but I'm not gonna stop fighting for those troops out there. I have the utmost respect for the wildland firefighters out there and what they do and what they go through, the work that they put in, and the environments that they put in. Like, I wish my kid could spend a season on a hotshot crew, because you probably get 10 years of growing up in one season.
Dude,
And
yeah.
it's an amazing, the smoke jumpers that I've met and talked to, like, you guys are badasses, and it's something I don't think I could ever do. But again, we're all a tool, and
Yeah.
we all, make the machine run. So thanks for having me on, and at any time I'd love to jump on again.
Oh, thanks, Chief. Appreciate you, man. And you have a fine evening, my friend.
All right, but we'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Dude, such an honor, man. Thanks.